So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And just wanted to do a little scouting series and a couple of players that have been tentatively linked with Aston Villa. And as you may have seen in a previous podcast, myself and Paddy did, there's a potential feeling that a second wave of transfers is around the way at Aston Villa over the coming weeks. And, you know, we all know that there's a lot of different positions that need to be strengthened. And a lot of talk has been on the attacking positions and who goes in, who comes out from that point of view, potentially in midfield. But less and less have there been links, or have we been talking about any defensive positions, specifically defensive centre back. I suppose defensive centre back. I think has been the lesser of the positions that have been spoken about recently. Now, that's not to say that we haven't been linked with players in this position. We've been linked with Jaka Bijol as well from Nice, and also we were linked with somebody who became, I suppose, a bit of a darling of the footballing fraternity over Euro 2024, and that's Jaka Bijol from Slovenia. And he's somebody that's really, really interesting from the point of from the point of view of what he brings to the table. Now, a lot of you guys will have seen him in Germany over the last 4 weeks. A lot of people will be able to see his strengths. Like, obviously, you look at this guy, don't need to have bifocals to be able to read exactly what this guy's game is. What he does is something that potentially and arguably and I won't even say arguably, I would say factually that Aston Villa are missing within their back two, back three, or back four at the moment, outside of Tyrone Mings. And what that is a massive physical presence, a massive see ball, get ball ability, and huge abilities in the air. So I thought it was something that was interesting to take a look at, given the fact that Udinese have finished just above the relegation zone, scoring against Frosinone, beating Frosinone with a Keenan Davis goal. Maybe Keenan Davis has a word with this guy. The fact that they've been in relative turmoil from a managerial point of view, having sacked 2 managers during the season. Fabio Cannavaro comes into that team. They then release him then at the end of the season, and they now have somebody who may not have a kind word for us over their team at the moment. It's Kosta Runic, the former Legia Warsaw manager, who we will know and will know Aston Villa very, very well, is now the Udinese manager. But saying that, you know, they're a team that are in rebuild, Udinese. Maybe they want the money from a player like this. Maybe they feel like he's somebody that can be replaced. And Aston Villa is certainly, and I think a lot of footballing teams, not just Aston Villa, there's a lot of teams have been interested in this guy. A lot of big teams have been interested in this guy because of the skill set that he has. So I suppose realistically, let's take a little look firstly, I suppose, at the Udinese side of things and see why us being linked to this guy, there will be, if we were to sign this person, if we were to sign Jaka Bijol, there would be an acclimatization situation for him, I would think. Not to the physical side of things, but just the style of playing, the tactics that he would come into based on what he had previously. Now, once again, I need to preface all of this with regards to Udinese is that they went through managers like the New Time last year. I started off the coach with they started off the season with one coach. His name was Andrea Sottil. He was then replaced by Gabriele Chioffi, I think is how you pronounce it, halfway through the season. And then he himself was replaced with 6 games to go with Fabio Cannavaro. Now, throughout the whole lot of last year, what they liked to play was a high speed counter-attack team, move the ball quickly when they had possession, but they played a 3-5-2 formation. All about fast transitions, trying to have a solid defensive shape. And Jaka Bijol was the keystone in the middle of that defence. He played in the middle of a back three. Now, obviously, Aston Villa don't play a back three currently at the moment, but if he was somebody to come in, he's right-footed. That's where he has played for Udinese. He previously played for CSKA Moscow, and he played in a back four there as well, and in a back three for CSKA Moscow. But he's a right-footed centre half, and he does the the physical defending. He does defending really well. Passing, taking the ball out of defense, not so much. But that's probably because his skill set points to, and also, once again, he was playing in an underperforming team, which needed to defend a lot, didn't have that ability to be able to get that ball down and play it around. Whenever we mention about what players' are displaying from a skill set point of view, it doesn't mean that they can't do the other piece. Somebody like Bijol, he's 25 years of age. He's just gone to, well, not just gone 25. He won't be 26 until the 5th of February next year. He's also played in the defensive midfielder position. So he has at times been caught between two stools, specifically, I think, at CSKA Moscow. But since he's come to Udinese, he's played 58 games there. And he's mostly, I would say, been anchoring the middle of that defense, which is really interesting. And I think that it's something that, that, you know, if you were to read the tea leaves on it, or you were to read into it, you get a big towering centre half like this, helps with corners, helps with defensive stability, helps us maybe release Boubacar Kamara further forward. Do we need a specialised 6 if we're playing 3 at the back? Maybe he comes in, he plays as that centre half alongside Pau Torres, with Ezri Konsa playing as a right back at some stages as well, converts into a 3. Like we've seen at times this year with our left back, Huizine Matson, who will be bombing on. So he fits an awful lot of remits that Aston Villa could potentially look for, or that Aston Villa would see as a positive for him. So let's take a little look at his setup. Oh, where's my background gone to there? Apologies. Just gonna put in don't know where anything has gone there. So let's take a look at his at some slides to see where he excels. So number one, he's got a fine jawline. I think we can all agree with that. Nothing like a strong jawline to be able to take a couple of uppercuts from centre forwards, or as you get up above people to leave your imprint on centre forwards as you come down from towering over them in the air with your aerial presence as well. But I digress. That's just that's just an observation from my point of view there. So 6'3", right-footed player, as I say. Looking at his heat map, it's really interesting. You can see he spent an awful lot of time in his own box. Teams who or Udinese in particular, should I say, they did invite pressure on an awful lot last year. You can see it there. He's defended an awful lot within his own box. Definitely hasn't played within the high line. Now, can he not play within the high line? It's hard to know. I've not seen him play in the high line. Is he outrageously quick? He's not slow, is what I would say. He's not a lumbering centre half. So it's not to say that he can't play in that high line. Judging by this, as we can see here, and looking at games for Udinese, he hasn't played in a high line. Now, we look there, there's 2 very definitive points of his heat map as well. You do have that heat map as well that starts just on the edge of his box as well. So there are times, and once again, I think it's worth noting as well that Udinese did go through transition. It did go through flux with managerial setups. Some managers may have wanted to defend further back. I think that may have been the case in this instance here. I don't have the setup information. I probably could have found it with regards to what way each manager likes to set up and the distances from the goals. But it's an interesting heat map that we have here that shows us where he played over the course of the last season. Definitely very, very central. Now, when we look at the right-hand side there for any of the defensive stats and the passing possession stats, I think, there's no prizes for guessing here what this guy does, and he's just that down and dirty, absolutely defend first, ask questions later type defender. And we see that with regards to his tackle percentage, or his tackles per 90 minutes, should I say. He's in the top quarter of all defenders, all centre halves in the top 5 leagues. His tackle 1 percentage is in the 80th percentile. His tackles in the defensive third is in 92nd percentile. And as we go, even looking there, his tackles in the midfield third, he's still in the 40th percentile. So that leads me to believe that they were asked to shift their distances, or where their line was, over the course of the year as well. Really interesting pieces there, the amount of shots and passes that he's blocked, and the amount of blocks he's had in total. We know that we missed that with Tyrone Mings. Tyrone Mings is brilliant at putting his body on the line and blocking shots. It's not a trait that you kind of want somebody to rely on within the team, but it's a trait that you need somebody who's willing to throw their body at things. Like we remember back to, let's just talk. I know he was in the wall at that time, and this isn't denigrating Nicola Zaniolo, but Phil Foden's free kick for Man City. People got out of the way of that. Sometimes having somebody who's willing to just put their body on the line is very needed. And what we can see here is that this guy doesn't mind doing that. He just wants to defend. He's not going to stand the player up, nick the ball off him, move forward 5, 6, 7, 8 yards with the ball and pass it off a lovely 10 or 15 yard pass to somebody. He's not going to do Pau Torres' job. You can see that there with regards to his interceptions. He will intercept the ball, but he's not going to just nip in front of somebody and play that ball out. He's not going to be John Stones. So, we don't, and Villa, if they were targeting him, they wouldn't expect him to play like a John Stones in that instance. But his clearances, he does clear the ball at an amazing rate. So he's defend first, ask questions later. And you can see that here, even when you look down towards his aerial duels, in the top 2% of all defenders in Europe at winning the ball in the air. And that's something that Villa have lacked this season, whether it's by design or whether it's by lack of ability. It's something that Villa would need to rectify, or would need to have, whether it's rectifying with people in-house or bringing in somebody to help rectify that as well. Once again, looking at his passing and his possession statistics, there's nothing to write home about here other than he doesn't miscontrol the ball. He does the basics well. He passes that ball off, and he doesn't take any chances with it. Like when you look at him play, one of the things that bounces off is how much he scans play to try and get in the way of the ball as opposed to try and make things happen with the ball. If that makes sense. We often look at a Pau Torres who actually actively looks and wants to have the ball. Bijol doesn't really want to have the ball. Not that he's not comfortable with it or anything. He just doesn't want it because he knows that he's way better at the defensive side of things. Stopping people. He seems to relish that. And look, that's a fantastic mindset to have from that point of view. Like, even if you look at the amount of short passes he has per 90 minutes, the amount attempted is less than 10 short passes attempted per 90 minutes, less than 18 medium passes, and less than 8 long passes attempted. So, like, he's not going to attempt many passes if he doesn't need to. And as I say, it's not that he can't do it. It's just that, he knows playing in a back three, it's a case of, okay, the guys around me are going to take that ball. I'm going to mind this house and you shall not pass. He's like Gandalf on the bridge in Lord of the Rings. And that's fantastic. And, every team needs players like that. And that's why I think he's of consideration for Monchi and for Unai Emery, because even though we have played the high line last year, potential changes to the offside rule, potential changes to, playing against teams that are a lot more canny in Europe from that point of view. There was times last year at the end of the year we got caught out. We got caught out against Olympiacos. We got caught out at times against Lille. Maybe we have to drop our defensive line a small little bit. So if we do that, and look, once again, everybody who's watching this will know that I said don't rule out 3 at the back at some stage this season. I don't think it's going to be the go-to tactic, but I think it could be a flex tactic that we have at some stage. And obviously his aerial ability is a huge plus point for Aston Villa, considering it's something that we massively missed with Tyrone Mings. Now, do we just replace that with a returning Tyrone Mings or not? Is a question in itself. But if they want to freshen things up, bring it, and I'm not saying in place of Tyrone Mings, I'm saying as a complement to Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konsa and Pau Torres, I think they could do an awful lot worse than bring in somebody like this. So, yeah, I think that's going to do it. A really interesting link. I know a link that we had some time ago, so I'm late in getting this one out, but I really wanted to look at it because sometimes those links get resurrected again, and we can go back and we can look through this once more. But thanks so much, everybody, for watching and for listening. There's a couple more of these coming this weekend, so keep an eye out for them. And if you enjoy them, and if you have any other suggestions of people that we have been linked with that I haven't got to so far, please send them to me on Twitter or X, whatever it's called at the moment, and I'll be delighted to do so. So everybody, in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.